Hello, and welcome to our dev stream for this week. I think I might be a little bit off camera, actually. As you can see, some things are a little different. And so if we're not 100% on like the camera or like things aren't perfect, then, please let us know. But how are you guys doing? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's been a while since I've been on the stream, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How have been your
Well, maybe we should do the intro. We forgot the intro.
Oh, right. It's been so long.
Because we were so involved with this new setup, which hopefully is better sound.
So my name is Matt. This is HB, and that's Mark. Sorry. I can't believe we forgot the intro.
Yeah, well,
but anyway,
we're too excited about the new sound
new
stuff.
sound stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
So.
It's people kept complaining that we had crappy sound, which we did. So
let's get some.
Maybe it's less crappy now.
It better be less crappy now.
Yeah.
So how was PAX? Mark, you were
PAX
the one that
great.
were there.
Yeah, PAX was. There was a lot of people from the community there as well. It was 4 days. They changed PAX East from 3 to 4 days this year, so it was one of the long ones. But it was the best one. It was the best PAX. Like there wasn't even a competition, right? It was very different for us because a lot of players already knew what Foxhole was, or rather, a lot of people who were walking by, even if like they never bought the game, they've heard of it, or they played the pre-alpha, or they played it at launch and they stopped playing, or they're still playing. It was just a very different feeling. It was the biggest jump in how different our PAX experience was as a result of that. And it was also just great hanging out with people from the community. There was Casper was with us for most of the weekend. There was Goomboon, Handsome Stalin, Loser, and a few other people. It was really cool. It was just, it was, it made PAX feel fresh again, because we've, as you guys know, we've been to a lot of them, and after like, I don't even know how many, maybe we've been to like 8 or 9. It does get stale, like that, right? Like it does get stale when the goal is just go there and do like a marketing type of pitch. But this time I felt like there was more reason to be there. It wasn't just a marketing pitch.
That's great.
Right. And in fact, most of my time I didn't even spend, just like talking to new players, trying to like convince them to play Foxhole. A lot of it was just, just kind of hanging out. And it was also really fun too, as just purely as a fun thing. We were watching the Conquest, and we were like making bets on like how long it would last, and it was really fun. It was really.
That's great.
I personally had a great experience. So
yeah, we are always, now that we had this experience, we are looking to always getting to meet people at PAX, right?
We're thinking about turning PAX into more of like a meetup focus, where the focus isn't marketing. It's more like, hey, let's just meet up with like people from the community, and have they get together and talk about Foxhole, or just talk about anything really. And I think this was a good first test, maybe like second test. PAX West was a little bit of that, so this was maybe a good second test of that type of approach. And I hope that like we can hopefully the next one will be even bigger. And I think that Crazy Flying Chicken has some cool plans for the next PAX. So that's gonna be really exciting.
Did I hear a big party? Big party? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about just like for the next PAX, like just going out there for maybe like 2 days or something, and just kind of like hanging out. But besides PAX, it's just been, it's been nice. The last week has really been the first week after this crazy roller coaster of a first quarter, I would say, where we just went from like World Conquest tests to trying to get the One World experience out, to GDC, to PAX, to the post One World follow-up, fixing all these issues. And then we finally got back from PAX, and then now it's a week later, and it's like, oh, okay, now we're, obviously we're still moving on to fixing the next big problems, but it's less chaotic than it's been for the last 3 months. I guess January to March it was just so crazy, and personally, I'm glad that things have
calmed down.
Calm is not the right word, because it's not exactly, it's never calm, right?
Yeah.
But
the players would say that things are in flames, but that's all the time.
Yeah, that's like normal. Like things being in flames is like standard, but like the beginning of this year was more than things being things being on fire. So it's good, and we're starting to plan more for the long term now, because it's important to remember that this is a marathon, right? I've been saying this from the very beginning. This is a marathon that started almost 2 years ago, actually more than 2 years ago, and we're still running this marathon.
Yeah, we haven't finished yet because the game is not out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of times when we read this feedback where it sounds like, it's going to be like the end of the world soon, it's like, well, that's weird, because like we've been hearing those things for like the last year or two, and for us, it's just it's this very long journey. So when we hear that stuff, okay, this is another hiccup, we'll fix the hiccups, and then we'll move on, right? And then in a year from now, it'll be the same. So anyways,
hiccups a year from now.
Yeah, I've gone on long enough, so maybe like Matt, you can talk a little bit about this setup. If there's anything
so the one thing that everybody has said so far, Mark, is don't turn away from the microphone.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Every time you turn away, apparently it does.
Well, I mean, I want to face HB, but I can't anymore.
Well,
so.
We're gonna put a mirror right in front there, so you can see my glorious visage.
So this is what we call live troubleshooting. And what I think we should do is actually move the microphone in such a way that if you do turn, it's still in front of your face. Much like how I have it situated right now. So I can turn and it's still kind of like in front of me.
I guess I won't turn then.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Fix it in post.
With that in mind. So this is it's been a bit of an experience, and the keyword is better than previously, and we're going to continue to improve it. Because previously we were just using that Yeti microphone in this echoey room.
Which doesn't translate well.
No, that's not good. And it's something I've wanted to upgrade since like day 2 of streaming. But sometimes that kind of thing takes a long time. And originally what I was looking into was lapel, like lavalier microphones. And the problem with that is they pick up even more sound. So like the echoes would be like really, really terrible. So I decided, because there's a chance that we might be changing offices at some point, I don't want to build this room into like such a like crazy sound space, because it's also our meeting room and everything like that. So we have to take some things into consideration. So eventually we landed on more like broadcast style mics, which obviously take a little bit of, we're going to just a little relearning, because I keep turning away to talk like this. And it doesn't work. So like we just have to relearn a little bit, because previously we were talking into a microphone that picked up the whole room, so we could do whatever we wanted. But that's where you have game devs trying to do like production sound.
Yeah, we're not used to this kind of thing.
It's a bit different.
We're a little bit more comfortable when you're like modeling and programming and doing all art stuff.
So yeah, so we're gonna continue to upgrade. I hope you guys appreciate it, because I hope it's better than the previous sound. Like that's all I care about. Step 1, let's get it better. Step 2, we'll upgrade the cameras. We'll increase the sound fidelity.
It's kind of our philosophy in the game as well.
Yeah,
like we had the stream going. Now we just have to get it better.
Exactly. Yeah. We have 2 cameras. We have the Mark camera. Here's the Mark camera for when Mark's talking about features and stuff, so that you don't have to have that static 3 couch shot, but they're both just webcams, so bear with us while again they're probably not as like crisp as I'd like, but eventually we'll have a little bit more going on, and maybe I'll actually be able to like control the setup not from a computer over here as well. That'd be nice.
Eventually there's gonna be a disembodied voice in the corner controlling the whole stream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been fun, and you guys probably missed the silly stream that we did to test this. But it was a good time, and thank you for everybody who came and helped, because that was the first shot at it. The big thing that came from that was that
Anthony cannot come back.
was that the mics were a little bit too quiet. So when I increased the volume and increased the overall levels, the first thing people said was the mics are too hot. So sometimes there's a bit of a balancing game. So anyway, why don't we move on to community highlights?
Yes, community highlights. I am very excited about this community highlights because of everything that Mark said, of like all the events and updates and things going on. Max is deeply involved with the community, so he was at PAX. First he came here, he was in the stream, but because of all that, he didn't have time to do the community highlights for like one extra week. So this community highlights is chock full of like so much good art, and it's kind of amazing that a lot of the art I would expect to have seen in the art contest. It is really, really good. So if you guys have a chance, go check it out. It's already online, has been online for a while, but it has some really like badass art. So it's gonna be a lot. Like first one is this one on the left by Jack. This just like a goddamn cool Foxhole Warden soldier.
Was that in the art contest?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like this is the art contest level for sure. And it looks so amazing. Then we have the tank, like just a new tank for Wardens by Smithy on the right side, and I particularly like that one because like Jack's, like these two are not only good drawings. We've seen good drawings before, but now we are also starting to see good realizations. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not just a good drawing, it's not just a good painting, it's also that it's like well done. It's like the filing process of it, like the inking and the coloring and like the rendering of it is also well done. Mm-hmm. And I really, really enjoy these two pieces. I think I couldn't choose which one to be like on the top because they're bloody fantastic.
Is that one on the right with the tank, is that from the same artist that did the inventory? It looks like a similar style.
No, but that inventory is an app.
Okay.
It's an app that he did like.
It just has like the stylized art, right?
Yeah, but like the way it's colored. I think it reminds of that. You're right. Yeah, but it's a completely like all his own.
It's cool.
Really sweet, right? I like the details of the pickaxe and the.
I'm assuming that's a heavier tank than
the one that we have
light
right
tank
now.
that we have.
I'll tell you what. Would this be like a sort of a medium tank, maybe? Probably, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
It looks really cool. I really like it.
Maybe it's a light tank.
Oh, a light. These next two. Well, the one on the left is by Vividly. He also did some stuff for the art contest, and it just looks really cool, right?
So that was using the camera hack plus a ton of post.
A ton of post. As far as I know.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else you would be able to make that short of ripping the assets out and recreating the entire scene in some crazy way. But that seems like highly unlikely considering the foliage is in there too. That's a lot more difficult. But who knows, right?
Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. I think it is. I think it's using. It's a mix. What the kids these days. Yeah. Talk about mixed media in which you get like art assets and you do some sort of collage and stuff like that, and like you do some work on top of it with Photoshop, with whatever is the software, and it's really well done. The lighting is fantastic.
So I'm hearing that Adam gave some assets, I think.
It might have been.
Okay.
To
so
use
it's possible,
for something.
Yeah. But you got the grass there too.
That's really.
But
cool.
the grass is what I would say is like
painted.
Our grass doesn't look that way.
Yeah.
So
Grass is definitely painted.
Okay.
So like it's cool, but I think it looks really neat in terms of like the really stark lighting.
Yeah.
And I think the trees actually look better here
than
they do in our game. It's like
there's some kind of like God rays going on there with like
I think
specks
they're
of dust, and
I think they are the like kind of like spotlights, as if they were invading like a colonial base or something like that. So
I see.
Like the searching spotlights are looking down on them. It's really well done. Great composition, works perfectly. And the one on the right by Commander Engineer, it's a Warhammer. These are Warhammer figurines, but they are painted in the Foxhole style, as if it was a Warden and a Colonial.
Right.
And we've seen some of them before, but it's kind of cool seeing both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And see how they relate to each other.
We've talked about making figurines a couple times, HB, and it's I don't know if we'll ever get to that, but I mean, who knows, right? But it's a cool. I think as a fan, like I personally would want to see that at some point, and I think that's why it's really cool to see this, right?
These are awesome. Yeah.
So. No,
these are really cool. I looked into it. Unfortunately, it's not as straightforward because the way we have our assets in game is not as straightforward. But maybe for a next event, I can, if I have a little bit more time to, research it, see how it could be done.
We probably won't have that time.
We won't have. We never have. It's like, oh shit, we have an event.
Yeah.
Next one. Oh, these are really cool because I think these are the first paintings that we have.
Oh.
Yeah. I know, right?
Like real paintings.
These are real paintings.
Real paintings.
Like physical.
Real watercolors, it looks like. Of a Warden and a Colonial soldier in a very cutesy style. And I thought it was like just neat to have like physical things.
Yeah, that's it. It's really jarring to see in this day and age. It's just kind of like you're taken back a bit. Like, wait, this is like physical painting.
It's
like,
not done in computers.
Yeah, exactly.
The attention to detail is also between the two factions.
Yeah,
is really good.
It's quite neat. Yeah. I thought it was just like a neat, tiny, like they are part of the same. Actually, they are part of the same painting. I didn't put the other picture, but if you guys go to the community highlights, you can see there.
Oh, it's like all one?
It's all in one, so they're flipped as if it was kind of like of a card, like a playing card. It's really neat. I really like it. I really like this one, like Pizza Colony. And last but not least,
this one's awesome.
Okay, this one. Last time he made fun of the way that I pronounce his name, so I'm not even gonna try. So you tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce your name.
Freak?
I'm not gonna try. He made fun of me. I'm not gonna try. He did several things. He's been like having an incredible output. He's the guy that did like those sketches on a sketchbook that I showed on the last one. They were like kind of like on a little sketchbook.
Yeah.
He did even more of those.
Okay.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff from him on the community highlights, but I picked these ones because they are very different. They look like a little tile set for you to, as if you were going to play like a board game or like one of those isometric video games, like I don't know,
like Civilization. It's like Settlers of Catan, but
yeah.
Well, there's a mobile game that I mean, there's probably a lot of mobile games that have a very similar style, but there's one in particular that it's like a Civilization type game. It's like a very light version of
what it reminds me of.
That looks very similar to this type of style, right? So when I first saw this, I was like, this is like, Foxhole, the turn-based mobile game, right?
You know what this really, really reminds me of? Goddess.
Ah, yes.
By Jonathan Blow?
No. That's
Peter Molyneux.
Molyneux, yeah, you're right. By Molyneux.
Yeah.
The style of it, which I don't know about the gameplay, but the style of Goddess is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this really reminded me of like how cool it would be to have like these little tile sets that you can play with.
It's just cool to see like iconic like Foxhole things, like, now they feel iconic because they were able to be like brought down to this like minor sort of like a scale, which is cool to me.
You look at it and it's like there's no question what it is, right?
Yeah.
And no question where it is as well. I really enjoyed
like
this.
Specifically like the detail rate into like the tree colors. It's like for me is like really funny to see.
Like the oil slick on the in the vehicle factory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's
my favorite is the components. no, there. I really like.
Well, actually, the 3 parts. I think it is right.
Yeah, exactly the 3 parts.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I really, really enjoyed these. I hope there's more tile sets coming, and Who knows?
Cool.
Maybe I'll make a physical version of it. That would be really sweet. Kind of like a Lego. But anyway, if you guys have a chance, go check out the community highlights. It's online right now. Max, Crazy Fine Chicken, did a great job compiling several weeks of things. And thank you everybody who submitted, that made any fan art. There's like, I gotta reiterate, this community highlights, if you ever have a chance to look at one of them, go look at this one, because there's so many videos, so many stories, and like there's some like newspapers, that like kind of stuff that you like. It's just like we didn't even have enough time to look into it. It is really cool. Go check it out. I'll put a link on the description as usual.
It's been a couple weeks now. This one, right?
Yeah.
So it's packed to the brim.
It really is.
All right, let's move on to our development update.
Yes. Things we're working on.
Things we are,
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we're working on another update. Surprise, surprise. And that's not too far off actually. We're currently shooting for next week, and there's a bunch of cool stuff, including a new vehicle, which we're gonna be talking about. But I want to run down, just give you the usual preview that we do, to talk about what's gonna be included in 0.12. So the first thing on the list is definitely the new vehicle that is on target so far. So I think we'll be by next week there will be a brand new vehicle in the game, which is gonna be really awesome. So the bug fixes, even though we usually do bug fixes, the reason why I'm highlighting it here is because we made a specific effort in this iteration to fix more bugs than usual, and furthermore fix some of the bugs that have just been plaguing us for the longest time. We obviously haven't fixed every bug, so there's still going to be a lot of them that maybe personally affect you that we haven't gone to yet, but we've definitely made some great progress, and thanks to Stefan on the team for constantly pushing to get as many bugs fixed as possible. And it was like, I think it was important that we spent this cycle, just because all the features that we've been adding into the game over the last 3 months, and all the one world changes, when you're developing features that fast, it's just like the nature of like software development is that you're gonna add more bugs, right? And the ratio, so what you always want to do is you want to balance that ratio between features and bugs, right? And hopefully make sure that like you minimize the number of bugs that you're putting into the game, and ultimately you kind of want like a bug-free game, right? That's definitely the goal.
That's the dream,
right? But the game is still like an alpha, so there's probably always maybe like a few things, but we were definitely going way towards we were leaning a lot more on the feature development side, and it's a trade-off, but some of that was kind of necessary to push through the one world changes, right? Like to get changes of that magnitude out the door, there is a certain amount of like
prep work? No, not prep work.
Not prep work, but there's a certain amount of force that needs to be applied to get these things out the door,
to push through them,
to push it through, and the result of that was more bugs than we were comfortable with. But hopefully with this update, it's a step back in the other direction, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the bugs that we fixed. But another thing we're working on is conquest, pacing, and balance. We're on our 5th war now, and some of them have been paced well, some of them have not been paced as well. Some of them have kind of ended sooner than we want to, or had some kind of a balance issue. We are definitely looking into that. There's a couple things that we're going to be doing in 0.12. We're going to be tweaking the spawn times or rather the respawn times for players, depending on the numbers on each side. So if you're kind of like outnumbered overall in the world, then your respawn times will be faster, and if your numbers are higher than the other faction, then your respawn times are going to be slower. And we're also going to be adjusting the resource yields to also take into account the player numbers. So the idea is that if you have more players, you can do more logic, you can do more scrapping. But if you have lesser players, then you can kind of replace that to an extent with the higher resource yields. And we're also going to be continuing to tweak the global player population, which we have done to some extent in this last war. And we have seen that has helped. And we're going to be continuing to do that in a more streamlined way in 0.12. And then there's also the balance of the tech bonus at the port bases that we're going to continue to fine tune. So these are the steps we're taking. And then in 0.13, we're going to continue to working on this. Right now, World Conquest, it's still like pretty early in the grand scheme of things. It's still finding its footing. I think we've had some successes with some of the wars, and some of them not so great successes. But hopefully through the next couple of updates, we can make things smoother and smoother. So yeah, just thanks for the patience as we're working through all these issues.
It's a big feature.
Yeah,
it's
something
a big
that doesn't get fixed right away, right?
Yeah.
By big feature, it's the game. Yeah. So it's been a big change.
It's the whole game changing.
Yeah.
So, next thing is historical monument. So this is kind of a smaller thing, but it's kind of neat. We said at the beginning that we want to keep a record for all the past wars, and we want to just make a step towards that. So we're gonna try to carve out an area of the home region where we can place all the past monuments. So you can go back, you can look at your standing in that war and sort of have like an ongoing historical record from the start of these wars, right? So that's something to look forward to. Experimental Foxhole Web API. So we want to do this for a very long time, and this is sort of the first experimental step into this, which is sort of like being able to expose some more stats from the game, expose some more stats from the war. I don't have too much to say about it right now because we're still working on it, but I think we're going to be able to possibly get out sort of a small version of a very small first step of this, and it's going to be really cool because basically we're going to provide you with the data you need to build sites that can show
whatever you want based on the data, right?
Exactly. So an example would be showing like the current state of the war in some way, obviously that is fair, right? Is one example. In the future, we hope to expand on that because we've already seen that there's a lot of web developers that have taken an interest in showing stats about Foxhole, right? Yeah. So that's going to be a cool thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then we're shooting for dev branches Thursday, and our target release is next Wednesday, right? So that
always have the asterisk.
Well, I forgot it this time, so we better release it on Wednesday.
Giant asterisks.
Yeah. I just want to sort of like walk through a couple of the bugs we fixed. There's a whole bunch, but it's because it's been such a big part of this current update. So this first one, players can begin moving at sprint speed when their stand-up animation hasn't completed yet. This has been there since the common prototype, and we never fixed it.
I just want to interrupt you and say Thursday is April 18th, not April 16th, because April 16th was yesterday.
Okay.
So people are aware.
Great. Well, thanks for correcting that. Yeah, so this bug is the one where you've seen where when you get up and you start sprinting, your character kind of is sort of halfway still looking like they're standing up, but they're already able to move at a fast rate, and it's just it's a little cheap in terms of the gameplay and also looks completely terrible. So that's one thing that's fixed. Resources spawning under landscapes is another huge pain point. And we kind of went ahead and fixed that at the code level. So that should work a lot better than before. Hopefully less resource nodes being stuck under the landscape, which causes less resources, right?
I'm particularly fond of this bug fix
because you won't have to manually fix it.
Because the problem happens because we had a fairly like primitive like spawning for scrap, and basically if I would change anything in the map, sometimes like they would just spawn in a mountain because I wasn't anticipating, because I couldn't see where it was spawning. It was just kind of an antiquated system. So it's been made a lot better now.
Yeah.
I just want to interrupt you right there for a second. That just so you know, Thursday is actually the 19th,
yes.
not the 18th.
We can't get it right twice. We'll correct it in the post.
Yeah. Cool.
Dev branch on Thursday, April 19, release Wednesday, hopefully Wednesday, April 25th.
Cool.
I'm very happy about the first bug fix.
Yeah. Actually, Matt, if you switched away for a second, I can just fix it right now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Just give me one moment. This is like...
Okay, we do it live, right?
Yeah, exactly. This
Wednesday
is what we do.
Wednesday is the 25th, right?
Great question. Why don't we just take a look real quick?
Yeah.
Just to be certain. Yes, it is.
Yeah, 26 is the Thursday.
Tomorrow is the 18th. For some reason, I thought today was Wednesday. I don't know why. It's a stream. We're literally on the stream we do every other Tuesday.
What amateurs. Okay. Voice chat playback starts faster than normal speed. This is that very scary bug that happens when some guy comes running towards you and voice chat is just like really fast and just like squeaky and like distorted. We've finally nailed that one. Resources can't be refunded from refinery if the quantity too high. So this is a very terrible bug where if you put too many resources into refinery, that's more than you can receive in your inventory, then it can't be refunded, right? And then parts of your silhouette still being visible through obstacles like trees and bushes and stuff like that. That's been fixed. And there's 35. Last time I checked, there's roughly 35 or more fixes. So
cool.
It's gonna be cool.
That's really exciting.
Yeah. And then I guess finally we're gonna talk about the new vehicle.
What is that vehicle?
I don't know. I wonder what it is, HB.
Oh, we don't know what it is. All we've ever seen is that one image.
Not obvious at all, right?
It was fun. When I was doing it, I had fun doing it. I don't care if people found out what it was.
So I talked to HB when because he made the image for the new vehicle reveal, right? Like the
Pokemon
Yeah. So, and I told him people are gonna know what this is in 5 seconds, and it was actually 3 seconds that they actually figured it out. So that was definitely, it's no secret that the armored car, right? Surprise, surprise, right? It was totally what everyone thought it was, and so just to talk about it a bit, we sort of want to make a vehicle that was on the low tier side. So that was kind of the starting goal, was that there wasn't too many vehicles at the beginning, and specifically in things like skirmish, it was missing a combat vehicle, and we also thought that the urban combat side of things hasn't really been taken care of that well. So we sort of designed this vehicle around that, with secondary roles as a patrol or some kind of a convoy vehicle. Are possibilities that players might want to use them for, but to just get right into the stats here, it's a 2-seater, and it's actually I'll show a screenshot in a second, but it's actually a pretty small vehicle, even though right here you don't quite get the sense of it, because from here it looks like, it's like a tank, right? But it's actually a lot smaller than a half track. It's even smaller than a truck, right? So it's actually a very just this small little armored vehicle. It's only good on road, and it has an anti-infantry gun, or 2 of them rather, and the turret does go 360 degrees. So if you're in an urban environment, the forward-facing turret is good for kind of peeking around corners, and also because it can go 360 degree it can sort of be good at taking out any enemies that may be trying to flank you. Especially in like a town environment, and it triggers anti-tank mine. So that's sort of the basic specs.
What kind of weapon can we expect from the?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So it behaves. The closest weapon is the storm rifle, the full auto mode, right? So it's sort of it's like a medium range.
Okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't overlap with the half track, right? So yeah, and you'll be able to try this out in the dev branch on Thursday, and you can give us your feedback. There's gonna be plenty of time for feedback before the release on Wednesday, so we're gonna be fine tuning that until the end. This is a screenshot of it in game, which is kind of cool. You can see it as part of a convoy, and I just think that these screenshots are always really cool. I don't know how
they're fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're made, but I always get them from Anthony, and they look fantastic. So it's really cool.
I don't know how they're made, but it doesn't matter.
It
tastes good.
Really cool. Yeah. And some of the concept art here that was worked on prior to.
Okay, I have to ask you because it's being spammed in chat, and sure. I need you to clear this up. What kind of ammo?
Oh, it's gonna use the storm rifle ammo as of now. We're still like taking a final look at that, but that's currently what it's gonna use. Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
There you go. You guys got it.
And yeah, there's some more concept art, and then that's kind of it. So
sweet.
Yeah. You'll be hearing more about it in the dev blog, and then you'll also be seeing it a little later this week. And in a couple of days, we'll reveal the Colonial version. So, yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
No.
No.
That's it.
Okay, we're gonna move on to
the Q&A part.
Q&A. If you guys want to ask questions, if you have questions about the new vehicle, the conquest stuff, now is the time. I'll take your questions and I'll field them to the panel beside me.
Technical questions about animation.
Technical questions about animation.
Yeah, let's change it up for once.
What is HB's favorite hamburger? Why storm rifle ammo? Question mark.
Yeah, so we actually had like a long discussion about this, and I think that we eventually want to move away from having like a specific type of ammo for each weapon in the game. So, like we said before, eventually we want like more variants of weapons, more
variety
vehicles, and we're getting to the point where it's a little silly when we have like, all these different types of ammo, right? It's just like, it's basically like 1-to-1. I think the only things that share ammo is the HMG and the half track. Maybe there's something else, I don't remember right now, but we want to start moving towards sharing ammo types, and we've even talked about the possibility of like not representing them as a clip or a belt, but possibly making it more like generic, and maybe having some other changes to how that whole system works, so that you don't end up with like 30 types of ammo when we're done this game, right? So yeah, that's the reasoning.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Another question. I can't remember who asked it. I'll have to find your name. How fast? Oh, here it is. Shantarisu. What is the speed of the armored car off-road versus on?
It's pretty slow. Yeah.
It's meant to be like a patrol vehicle, not like an off-road vehicle.
Yeah. The big contrast is to the utility vehicle, which is like really fast off-road. That's the fastest off-road vehicle. This is probably one of the slowest ones. So it's probably similar to the truck the last time I checked, but definitely not good off-road.
Paxolted asks, as far as tech goes, where do you see the armored car?
No, it's good. Before, like, definitely in the first fourth or first third of the tech tree. Like I said, one of the whole driving reasons behind this vehicle is that, we felt that vehicles weren't coming into play on the combat side until very late in the wars, and specifically in skirmish was lacking a combat vehicle. So it's going to be early. It's going to be in the first fourth, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially if it's meant to be like a sort of a lighter vehicle than like the half track.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions. Toasty Turtle asks, is there any news on uniforms?
Huh?
No. So uniforms has been kind of an on and off project. The last time we worked on it, again, we were happy with some of it, but we made some progress, but it's still visually not there yet. And it's just been really tricky to find that balance between making characters look like, giving players that feeling like they're part of a unified army while giving them a separate look. It's just been a balance that's going to take time, and it's always been, thus far, it's been always more of a side project than anything, and I don't think it's going to be it's going to be coming anytime soon. No, it's not. It's going to be a while.
Well, just of the nature of our development, considering that we have a very small team, what is very common to happen is that we have these side projects that, because we have a small team and because we have so much, like usually these big updates take so much of our time, we have to shift our focus, like of basically almost the whole team to certain features, and then side projects don't get realized until they become main projects, right? So I expect to see uniforms, yes, but it's gonna take a while until we can say, hey, this is our focus right now. We're gonna do uniforms.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about like all the list of things that we got to do in the next like 3-4 months, and like that uniforms are not on that list. There's just way too much
priorities.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
yeah,
I know.
We'll get to it.
Yeah,
I
want to see uniforms as well.
Pachurin asks, I'm happy to hear that you're fixing scrap spawning under terrain. What about scrap spawning in trees, around fences, and it goes on, etc.? This fix will fix that. It won't spawn in anything. It will spawn on top of terrain. It will not spawn inside of objects. That is the goal anyway. From what I've seen from the tech.
I don't know if I'm ready yet to claim that it's perfect, Matt.
Oh no! Did I say it was? I said it's perfect. I said from what I've seen.
Okay. The goal of this fix.
It may still spawn around objects, like on the other side of a fence or something. So that'll be something we have to change the positioning. But there should be no more like it shouldn't spawn in inaccessible areas. Hopefully.
Yeah,
that's the goal. That's the goal.
Frustrating bug. I faced that last week. I during the last while has been the first sort of like not crazy busy time, and I played a lot of Foxhole last week, and I came across that bug. It was really frustrating. So
the scrap spawning inside of stuff.
I'm really glad it's fixed. There was a sulfur node that was like spawning in a mountain, and that was really frustrating. But.
Yeah, it's really tough because like just the way that we had that system working when we're building the maps, you can't see exactly where things are going to spawn at all times because they spawn at sort of random. Yeah. So we've not only have we fixed that, but we fixed the way that it spawns too. So if something changes in the map, like a mountain is put in a place, we'll be able to see that the scrap is going to spawn on top of it. Yeah. So like there's a lot of smart changes that we made, but it's been a long time coming. It's something that.
No, I was really happy when the next day I came to the office and I looked at the bug list and I saw that was already fixed. So I was like, that's perfect.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's really, really good. I don't want to ask questions that we've heard before.
Yeah, let's do new questions.
Let's start. Well, I'm looking for a really good question. HB, what's your favorite burger?
My favorite burger?
Burger.
Oh, okay.
Is that a real question?
Yep.
Oh, really?
I thought
a couple times.
Really? I like burgers of all kinds. I'm particularly fond of like a lot of fast food burgers, but my favorite burger is a burger that I ate that was like a burger, blue cheese, bacon, and caramelized onion with a little bit of cranberry sauce, just a little bit, and it was delicious, salt and savory. It was, yes, sweet and savory, and it was so good, really good.
That wasn't weird.
What's your favorite thing to do in the office when we have free time?
Well, we don't have free time, so no.
That's why I wanted to ask that question.
No, we're actually, you know what? It's a funny thing because we're a really no-nonsense studio. And what I mean by that is, like, we're not the type to come in and play a bunch of, like, ping pong at, you know, in the middle of the day, and then we end up, like, you know, staying a bit late. Like we pretty much, everyone arrives, like, not too far off, like, in the morning, we all arrive at roughly the same time, and everybody just works straight, and everybody leaves at roughly the same time. Outside of a couple of exceptions, but we've always talked about, like, hey, we should play a game, or we should
never works.
You know, I think historically there's a couple things we've done. We've tried playing games a few times together as a team, and that was like a very long time ago. I think the more recent thing is that we used to do this, like, Sci Fridays, where we would, like, watch science fiction TV shows or movies, right, on Fridays.
We also used to do the Friday pitches.
Yeah, like the game pitches, where it was just, it was like a fun activity where we would pitch games, and you're not allowed to, like, criticize. You're only allowed to.
It was just like a debate on how to make, like, different games and come up with new ideas.
Yeah.
But I think on my case, like, the only free time that I have sometimes is when, like, the program is compiling, or something is rendering, or something, or things like that. That's when I jump into Discord and send stupid messages that end up people asking me several questions. Why am I doing that? That's the only thing.
Usually while I'm waiting for stuff to compile, I read like the lore channel.
Yeah, like we jump to Discord on the time that we have, I guess. I try to follow the, if there's a conquest going on or something like that.
Like what's going on.
Yeah. No, I think there's some members on the team that at lunch hour they'll, like, hop into a game and play for half an hour or something. Yeah. Like, I've definitely seen some of that.
This is gonna sound funny, but I think the biggest, like, team activity things that we do is actually play Foxhole.
Yeah, we do.
Like,
yeah,
really,
that's true. Yeah.
Whenever we have like a new update or something. So let's ask another couple. We got lots of time for questions, so I'm just gonna kind of continue to ask questions. Do we have any plans for melee weapons, Mr. Hot Choco?
Melee weapons?
Yeah.
We actually discussed melee weapons before. We thought that, at least at the time, it was not the focus of the game because it didn't inspire the kind of imagery that we wanted for the game. The gameplay was not exactly that, and it's a different kind of gameplay. That being said, we already have the bayonets and we have the karate chop. Punch, which is internally is called karate chop.
No, we fixed that actually.
Oh,
did you? Oh, that's upsetting.
No, we definitely fixed that.
But anyway, I don't think it's off. It's completely off the reality of the game that we could put, like, a hunting knife or things like that. Even like just being able to have, like, a big. Like,
I think it's definitely not off the table. At the beginning, like you were saying, HB, is just I think we had a slight fear that will become some, because when you're starting out and you literally only have like 2-3 weapons, if we started out with the melee weapons, it might turn into this really silly melee combat that especially the state of it, it's not the melee the combat system was not built around the melee combat, so it's a little, like, clunky, but yeah, for sure in the future, like, knives,
now that we have a system of already working.
I mean, it'd be cool to see a sword or something at some point.
Oh,
right?
Man,
especially like a saber.
I think so cool. Matt and I have talked about swords some point in the past, but
I would love to play like that.
So there's one question that I want to answer. Any ideas on doing more lore-based things? One of the things specifically stated was make homes look more lived in. So actually, when you talk about a little bit of free time, I had a little bit of downtime over the last week, which is very rare. So one of the things that I've been doing is making the houses look more lived in, making some of the spaces look more lived in. People have been begging for lore in Morin County, so look out for that. There's going to be more going into the game, but that's definitely a thing that is like a nice to have, as opposed to like if I have a lot of stuff on my plate, then lore kind of gets unfortunately put on the back a little bit. But yeah, look out for more stuff.
That thing that is written on the dry board right beside my table, you know what I'm talking about, the one right beside my table.
Oh, your table, yeah.
Is that ever coming to the game?
One day. Okay. It hasn't been mentioned again in a little while, but
okay.
Yeah. Another great question. I lost the name because it's gone. Is how did we come up with the name Foxhole?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Basically, myself and Alcas, we came up with the name first, and before that, we had this giant list of names, and we kind of did a brainstorming session with the team, but nothing really resonated with me personally, because it's very hard coming up with names, right? And usually when you first hear names, they kind of suck, and very few people like them until the rest of the game is there, and then it kind of makes more sense, right? And we had all kinds of weird names like The Last War and like
the Endless War, and all these, and they were War for All Times, the War of the Lions. We had all.
I think the biggest problem is that a lot of names they're like too on the nose, like it's just sort of, it was really lame. And then Foxhole, I think it had the simplicity and it was like very subtle, but it got across that feeling of like grit that we wanted in the game, like the mood and like the atmosphere that we w're trying to go for. It was like Foxhole. Yeah, it's simple, right? It just sounds good.
And at the time in our prototypes, we had also been messing around with the actual foxholes, and that became a big part of the meta at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is also why it was in,
why
it was sort of in the zeitgeist.
Now I remember, because that was the first structure. So yeah, foxholes were the very first structure in the game, right? That's a good point.
They were different at the time. But...
So and we hadn't even thought of the I think it was like Project War for the longest time.
It's Project War.
And then in the prototypes for Project War, we had foxholes. And when we were thinking about this long list of names, we were like, maybe it should just be Foxhole, because we have foxholes in the game. That was one of the reasons. And not everyone on the team was entirely comfortable with that name, but
I really didn't like it. As soon as you said it, I was like, man, I'm not happy about it. I think it's grown on me a lot since I like it a lot.
All the projects as well, right? Like even on Fortified, we had the same problem. We had a huge list of names that like most of them were terrible. And then Fortified got decided, and like some people were like,
I mean, at the beginning it was called retrenchment.
Yeah, it's impossible to pronounce if you're not English speaker.
Yeah, so that's how we came up with the name. Really,
it was I think it was the first asset, not except the sandbags, but the sandbags were at that point on the prototype.
We should have called the game Sandbags.
I think they were. Right. I think they were at that point in the development. They were nicked from Fortified, right? The Sandbags. Yeah. I think Foxhole was actually the first.
Sandbags will be the name of the sequel to Foxhole. Sandbags.
Sandbags.
Yeah.
A Foxhole universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandbags tale.
Okay. Sandbags, the Foxhole story.
I'm gonna ask one more question. In light of that, any plans on fixing the island stuff, going to World Conquest for the future? Zerob and a bunch of other people asked this. So I'm gonna just clarify as well. Any plans on fixing the island stuff and World Conquest for the future? So,
what do you mean by that? Sorry.
So what they're referring to is on the left on what is that? I make the maps and I can't remember. Westgate. On Westgate, there's Handsome Hideaway, which is sort of this island that has a town, and there's a lot of griefing that's been happening that I've heard a lot about. But on the Warden side, there's no equivalent.
Oh, I see.
Is that the specific issue?
I think that's a specific issue, and without actually addressing that particular one thing I will say is like the maps are going to change, so it's only a matter of time.
Okay.
We promise you that they will be balanced more and more and more towards World Conquest. Like Right now, we've retrofitted them to work with World Conquest, with the exception of Far North Coast and Morin County, which were built with World Conquest in mind. So,
I mean, like besides Handsome Hideaway, if you guys have any other feedback, that's actually something we're very interested in right now. Is map balance with respect to World Conquest. So if there's like a particular like pain point, please let us know.
Especially like short term, like what do you think is something that would help like immediately? Would be really, really helpful. Because obviously we can't rebuild the maps in a day. But
if there's something where it's like, okay, there's this mountain that is in a place that previously wasn't, it made more sense, but now in Conquest it's like really painful in some ways. Please let us know and we'll take a look at it, right? It doesn't mean we're going to change it necessarily, but we'll definitely take a look at it, right? So yeah, please send us your map feedback for World Conquest.
Absolutely. I'm excited. World Conquest has been really exciting to watch happen and evolve and change the way we look at the game, because it certainly has. But with that, we're going to call an end to the stream. If there's anything you guys have left to
I hear there's a festival this weekend.
Right, yes.
Right, so that's going to be exciting. The annual Foxhole Festival. Talk to Casper and Lightning about that. I believe they're the ones organizing it, but if I left anyone out, I'm sorry. I just know that I've been talking to those two guys.
And if you don't know what it is, this is like a community event that we, the devs, have like no hand on. We're gonna try to help them as much as we can for whatever they need to do it. But they did one already last year, and it was fantastic. And they're trying to do it like a bigger, better, more festive festival this time.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty sweet. They've been organizing for a long time now. So if you want to participate, as Mark said, talk to Casper for sure, Lightning as well.
Yeah, and it's gonna be, I believe, on both Saturday and Sunday this year.
Yeah, it's 2 days.
It's a 2-day event, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big. If you guys, I'm gonna leave all the links for stuff on the description below. If you guys are watching on YouTube, check us out every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/foxhole.
Yeah. Foxhole game.
Foxhole game, sorry. And
Cool.
And join us on Discord. Join the community. Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and let us know again all your feedback for World Conquest and anything on the Discord and on the Steam community and the Reddit and all the places that we have for that. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. We should come up with like a until then stay foxy or something.